My son dropped me off at a nursing home like he was getting rid of trash that was too heavy to carry. That sentence still cuts through me. Me, sitting on that hard reception chair, my small suitcase by my feet, and my mother's rosary hidden inside my closed fist. Not because I'm religious, but because that rosary was all I had left of her. And in that moment, it felt like it was also all I had left of myself. The car door slammed when he left me there. Marcus didn't even look back. He just said, "We'll talk later, Mom." Later. When? With what intention? As he walked away, my chest started burning like old coals being stirred back to life, not from anger, but from abandonment. The kind of abandonment that doesn't scream, doesn't throw things, but breaks you quietly from the inside out. The nurse took my paperwork without even looking up. The smell of disinfectant felt thick, heavy. The windows were locked, the walls were cold. And the silence in that place felt like prison, like being erased. I squeezed my mother's rosary, trying to convince myself this was care, that Marcus was just worried about me. But inside, an old voice whispered, "Alberta, this isn't home, and it's not your choice." If you've ever felt like the ground was pulled out from under you, stay with me. My story doesn't end here. Subscribe to the channel, hit like, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Before all of that happened, my life was simple, but it had a rhythm that still warms my chest when I remember. I'd wake up early, put water on to boil, and make my coffee slowly, letting the smell fill the kitchen my husband helped build with his own hands. On the corner of the table, I always kept my mother's rosary. Sometimes I'd pick it up without even noticing, just to remember the way she said my name when I was a little girl. My house in San Antonio was small, but it held 30 years of my memories. The wooden floor creaked where Marcus used to run. The walls kept fingerprints, doodles, photos that had started to yellow, but they still told the story of who I was before life started to wear me down. After my husband passed, the house got quieter, but it was a familiar quiet, not like the hard silence I found later. Marcus was always my pride and my weakness. I raised him almost on my own, working extra shifts, cooking with whatever I had, stitching dreams together for the two of us. When he grew up, the world swallowed him fast. Work, pressure, hard choices. The visits got fewer, then the phone calls, then even the warmth in his voice. But I always tried to understand. A mother always understands, even when she shouldn't. After my hip surgery, I thought Marcus would be around more. He promised. He promised he wouldn't leave me alone. But those promises turned out empty, like those grocery bags that look full and rip halfway home. I tried to hold on to my dignity with both hands, and with my mother's rosary in my pocket. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to be too much. The fear of losing my independence was bigger than the pain in my hip. And when Marcus started insisting that I couldn't stay alone anymore, something inside me began to slowly fall apart. I just didn't know that the way it would all play out would be crueler than any physical pain, and that my house, my last piece of home, would be used against me. The morning everything changed began with a strange quiet inside my house, a quiet that felt like a warning. My coffee was still hot on the table when I heard the quick knocks on the door. It was Marcus. He walked in without looking at me, without asking how I'd slept, without noticing I was holding my mother's rosary between my fingers, asking for strength. "Pack a small bag. You're leaving today. You're going somewhere, they'll take care of you." The way he said, "they'll," cut through me like a cold blade. I tried to understand. "What place, Marcus? What's going on?" He sighed, impatient, like my questions were a nuisance. "A good nursing home, great facilities. You can't stay alone anymore, Mom. It's dangerous." Dangerous. The word felt wrong coming from him. The house is too big, and it's being sold. My heart stopped for a moment. Sold? Without telling me? Without my signature? He looked away. "It's already in motion. You can't stay here. You don't have the conditions." Conditions. As if I were something broken. The pain in my hip throbbed, but the pain in my chest was worse. "Marcus, I can still live here. With help. With time. Just listen to me." He closed the suitcase without looking at me. No more talking about this, Mom. This is for your own good. For my own good. The same words people use when they want control. He grabbed my suitcase in a rush. I held the rosary like it was my last anchor. In the car, he didn't say a word. He stared at the road like he was running from his own conscience. I tried to see if he was sad, nervous, regretful, but all I saw was distance. When we stopped in front of the building, my legs almost gave out. The place had a nice facade, modern, but the air was heavy, cold. A place with no breath of comfort. "This is it," he said, stepping out too fast. It took me a few seconds to realize he wasn't going to wait for me. The receptionist took my documents without saying good morning. Marcus signed forms without reading them, without asking anything, without looking at me. "I'll talk to you later," he mumbled, like he just wanted to finish an inconvenient chore. And then he left. No hug, no touch, no goodbye. I stood there, feeling the heavy air of the hallway swallow me. The rosary trembled inside my hand, and then I understood, with painful clarity, that this wasn't temporary care. It was disposal. And the life I held together for decades with work and love was being pushed into a place I never chose. Right then, I knew. Something was terribly wrong. And I was walking alone into the center of a danger I didn't yet understand. That first night in that place clung to my skin like a cold that never fades. The room was shared, but no one really talked. 2 older women stayed with me, both avoiding eye contact, as if any attempt at connection could be used against them. The silence was so thick it felt physical. When I tried to walk into the hallway to get some water, clutching my mother's rosary for courage, a nurse appeared too quickly, almost like she had stepped out of the wall. "Go back to your room. No one wanders after 9. The tone wasn't caring. It was an order, a harsh one. A chill ran through me. I noticed the reinforced lock on the door, the cameras in the corners, the frosted glass that hid the outside world. It felt like every detail was designed to prevent anyone from getting out, not to make us feel safe. In the dining hall the next day, something even more disturbing stood out. Watched eyes. Every staff member moved fast, clutching clipboards to their chests. They wrote down everything. Who ate, who didn't, who trembled, who asked too many questions. While pushing around that tasteless food, a white-haired woman whispered without moving her lips, "Don't talk loud. They like quiet people." Then she went back to eating like she'd said nothing. Another woman with shaky hands asked me, "Do you have family that visits?" I said yes, but my voice sounded uncertain. She lowered her head. "If they don't, it's worse for you." That sentence spun inside me. Why worse? Later, I noticed something terrifying. My wristband had a code, and when I passed 2 employees, I heard one say, "The new one, Category 3. So she's priority." "Yeah, high assets." My stomach twisted. I wasn't a patient. I was an evaluation, a value, a target. Back in the room, one of the women was crying quietly. I asked if she needed help, and she only muttered, "They say it's for our own good. But here, we forget how to exist." My soul shrank. I squeezed the rosary until it hurt. That night, I heard long footsteps in the hallway, doors opening and closing, muffled groans. It felt like a place where lives faded slowly, and no one outside knew. And then I realized the worst part. Marcus didn't call, didn't text, didn't ask if I was okay. It was as if I'd been erased from his world. And now, this place felt more than ready to erase the rest of me. But something inside me began to wake up. A discomfort, a suspicion, a whisper from my mother, almost like memory. "Watch. Trust your intuition. Don't let them take what's still yours." I didn't yet know what was hiding inside that nursing home. But those signs, those first cracks of truth, were the warning I couldn't ignore. That feeling that something was wrong wouldn't leave me alone. It was like the air inside that place had eyes. The next morning, I woke up before the automatic alarm went off. My mother's rosary was in my hand. I didn't even remember holding it during the night. It felt like it was trying to warn me about something. I decided to watch everything more carefully. I couldn't rely on anyone there to explain what was happening. The first strange thing was the dining hall again. We all entered in a line, like in an old factory, and there was a staff member at each end writing something on clipboards. When I walked past, I heard quietly, "New one, Category 3, Monitor." The word monitor sliced through my chest like a premonition. I sat with two older women. Carmen, shy and always glancing around, spoke without moving her mouth much. "Here, we learn not to ask questions. Anyone who asks disappears." I tried to hide my shock. Disappear how? She took a slow breath but looked away. "They give them new meds. Then the person gets confused, and one day they're moved to another wing, or taken out in the middle of the night." A shiver crawled over my skin. "And no one questions it?" Carmen gave a small, sad smile. "Anyone who questions it goes with them." After breakfast, I was sure I needed to confirm what I was seeing. I walked slowly toward one of the side hallways and stopped in front of the supply room. The door was slightly open. Inside, 2 employees were talking quietly, but loud enough for me to hear. "The new one has a big house. The administrator already asked for a detailed assessment. And the son? He wants to sell fast. She's priority." The floor felt like it vanished under my feet. Priority. Because of my house. I stepped back, and in my panic, I knocked over a plastic cup someone had left on a cart. The noise echoed. Both women instantly stopped talking. My heart pounded. I walked away quickly, trying to look calm, but my hands were shaking. In the next hallway, I ran into Patricia. She looked at me like she could smell fear. "You're walking around too much. That disrupts the routine." I took a breath. "I just wanted to stretch my legs." She tilted her head, analyzing every detail of me. "Don't worry. Soon, new tests will help us understand your condition." Condition. The word made me nauseous. That afternoon, I tried to ask for my phone back. "The administration is charging it," they lied. I asked for my documents. Not aloud. I asked to speak to my son. He needs to authorize it. Every door closed in my face, one after the other. At the end of the day, I sat on my bed and opened my hand. The rosary was there, warm from my sweat. My mother always said, "When the world gets too strange, listen to your silence." So I listened. And it told me the truth I didn't want to admit. That place wasn't protecting me. It was studying me, and I needed to understand why, before it was too late. I was sitting at the edge of the bed, holding my mother's rosary inside my closed hand, trying to steady a breath that kept slipping away from me. That night, I felt like I was cornered between walls that knew too much, and yet still invisible to the world outside. That's when I heard the soft sound of a cleaning cart stopping at my door. Miguel walked in slowly, with a tired face and sharp eyes. He always treated the residents with a quiet respect that didn't match the coldness of the other staff. He looked at me like he saw something that shouldn't have been broken. "Good evening, Mrs. Salazar," he said softly. It was the first voice in that place that sounded human. I nodded, trying to look composed, but my hands were trembling around the rosary. He noticed. "Did something happen?" he asked, stepping a little closer. "This place isn't what it seems," I said, unable to hide my fear. Miguel glanced toward the hallway, then carefully closed the door. The gesture was so bold my heart jumped. "You're right," he whispered, "and there's more, much more." I gripped the rosary tighter. "What do you mean?" He took a deep, troubled breath, the kind someone takes before revealing something dangerous. "They choose people like you, people with assets, a house, little family around." The floor tilted under me. "Choose for what?" Miguel swallowed hard. "To take everything. Guardianship, accounts, property, they make it look like care. But it's something else entirely." My legs felt heavy. "And my son?" I asked, my throat closing. Miguel looked away. "I heard him talking to the administrator. I don't know all the details, but it sounded like he's cooperating." The pain hit like a blow. My own son. Miguel saw the despair in my face and rushed to speak. "I know it's hard, but you need to hear this. They're watching you. and they're going to move fast. But I can help. Why? I whispered, trying to understand why anyone would risk so much for me. He took a slow breath. My grandmother went through this. She died in a place like this. No one believed her. I promised myself that if I ever had the chance, I would help someone get out before it was too late. I looked down at the rosary in my hand and felt like my mother was standing beside me. What do I do now? I asked, my voice breaking. Miguel stepped closer, lowering his voice even more. Trust me, I know where they keep the files. I know who forges signatures. I know who hands the documents to the administrator. I can show you everything, but it has to be at the right moment. For the first time since I'd arrived, my breathing steadied. Right there in that suffocating room, I found my first light, my first ally, and maybe my first way back to myself. The next morning, I woke up with a different feeling. Not hope, but something sharper, like I finally understood the game being played. Even so, fear walked beside me. I grabbed my mother's rosary before standing up, letting its weight hold me steady. After what Miguel had revealed, I knew my name wasn't just a name in that place. It was a target. It didn't take long for the first attack to come. Patricia walked into my room without knocking. The door slammed against the wall, and the jolt ran through my whole body. "Mrs. Salazar," she said with a stiff smile, "we need to talk." She stepped toward me slowly, measuring every move I made. I stayed seated, trying to hold on to whatever dignity I had left. The rosary was hidden in my hand like a tiny shield. "You've been very curious lately," she said. I tried to breathe evenly. "I just want to understand my routine." She gave a humorless laugh. "You don't need to understand anything here. Just follow instructions." My chest tightened. "I want my documents and my phone." Patricia tilted her head like she was watching a stubborn child. "Your documents are in custody, and your phone is not recommended for your condition." My condition. My mother always said words can become chains, and I felt those chains tightening. "I'm not incapable," I said firmly. Patricia stepped closer. "But your son thinks you are." The sentence dropped on me like a stone. She pulled a clipboard from her folder and held it near my face. "Absent family, high vulnerability, urgent evaluation protocol." "That's a lie," I whispered. She smiled. "It's enough." My heartbeat sped up. Something, maybe my mother's voice, told me I couldn't give in. I stood up slowly. "I won't take medications I don't recognize. I won't sign anything." Her smile vanished. "If you keep resisting, we'll escalate this. People like you need supervision." She leaned closer, her voice cold. "You don't want to end up like Ruth, do you?" My blood froze. Ruth had disappeared. Patricia turned and walked away, but before leaving, she glanced back with a stare that sliced through me. "The administration is reviewing your case. There isn't much you can do." When she finally left, my knees weakened. I sat on the bed and clutched the rosary tight. That was their first direct strike. And now, more than ever, I had to fight back. My mother always said silence can be a weapon too. I just had to choose when to use it, and when to break it. After the confrontation with Patricia, I knew there was no room left for innocence. Something massive was hiding behind the locked doors, the clipboards, and the whispers. And that afternoon, the horror began to reveal itself. Not all at once, but in layers, as if the nursing home itself were accidentally letting its real skin show. I was in the dining hall, pushing food around my plate, when I saw Patricia walk away quickly, dropping something from her pocket, a small blue notebook. She didn't notice. I looked around. No one was watching. My heart pounded so loudly it felt like it filled the whole room. I tightened my grip on the rosary and, with one fast movement, slid the notebook toward me and tucked it inside my jacket. I returned to my room with short, shaky steps. I closed the door gently and sat on the bed, breathing deep before opening it. And when I did, my stomach twisted. There were names, dates, addresses, and next to each name, words like high assets, no close family, approved transfer, report ready, and beside my name, valuable home, priority. My whole body went cold. They weren't caring for the elderly. They were cataloging victims. I turned the pages. I found codes that matched the wristbands. Each code meant a level of potential. Financial potential. Exploitation potential. My hands shook so much I could barely hold the notebook. My mother's rosary felt hot in my palm. Just then, Carmen appeared silently at the door, her eyes wide with fear. "You've seen things you shouldn't have," she whispered. "They did this to you too, didn't they?" I asked. Carmen took a breath, the kind that opens old wounds. "They said I had to sign authorization for treatment. I was drugged. When I woke up, my house was already sold. They used a forged signature." My chest caved in. "What if I told you your name is in here?" I asked, showing her the notebook. She covered her mouth with her hand. "I always suspected, but I never had proof." Before we could say another word, footsteps echoed down the hallway. Carmen rushed to close the door. I hid the notebook under my pillow. Patricia walked past the room like a shadow. We didn't breathe until the footsteps faded. Carmen sat on the edge of my bed and whispered even softer. "There's something bigger happening. People were moved to other units, but no one knows where they went. Ruth, I heard 2 men take her at dawn. No family, no record." I swallowed hard. "And no one does anything?" "Anyone who complains disappears too." The doubt disappeared. A cruel certainty took its place. This wasn't a nursing home. It was a factory of disappearances and legalized theft. That night, Miguel returned. His face was tighter than ever. "Mrs. Salazar, I found something else. The doctor here has no license. None. He fabricates reports, declares lucid residents incompetent. With those reports, they get emergency guardianships." "And Marcus?" I asked, my voice breaking. Miguel inhaled slowly. "The administrator said your son received an advance from the real estate company. He already sold your house." The floor fell from beneath me. My son, my home, my story. All sold while I fought to breathe in that place. Miguel stepped closer and whispered, "There's one thing that could bring all of this down. The printer in the admin room saves automatic copies of documents. If we can get your file, we'll have proof." I squeezed the rosary, feeling its beads press into my skin like my mother's strength. "Then we'll get it," I said, with a firmness I didn't know I had. The subplot had opened, and I was ready to walk into it, before they swallowed me whole. The night settled over the nursing home like a heavy blanket, smothering every bit of hope. I couldn't sleep. Every sound felt like a warning. My mother's rosary was between my fingers, warm from how tightly I held it. It was the only thing reminding me I still had a story, and that it couldn't be erased so easily. At 2 a.m, Miguel slipped into my room with his cleaning cart. His steps were quick, but his eyes were alert. "It's time," he whispered. "They shut down half the cameras for maintenance. The printer should still have copies of your file." I stood up slowly, my hip protesting, but a lost strength pushing me forward. We walked through the dim hallway, lit only by weak lights. The silence felt so deep that it was like the whole building was holding its breath. The supply room where the printer was kept smelled like old paper and chemical cleaners. Miguel opened the door with a key he clearly wasn't supposed to have. "Fast," he said, "before anyone walks by." He went straight to the bottom drawer. He rifled through folders, envelopes, labels. I stayed near the door, watching the hall, every sound, every shifting shadow. The rosary anchored my free hand, steadying the tremor in my chest. "Got it," Miguel said, pulling out a thick folder. He opened it, and there it was, my picture clipped to the first page. The first sheet read, "Preliminary Assessment, Cognitive Decline." I almost laughed from shock. Cognitive decline? I was sharper than ever. The next pages were worse. "Approve emergency guardianship. Patient incapable of managing personal assets. Validate signature from responsible family member." And right there, my forged signature, and beneath it, my son's name. My chest collapsed inward. A knife would have hurt less. Miguel touched my shoulder. "There's more," he said. "Look." He pulled out a psychiatric report, completely fabricated. It claimed I had persistent confusion, fragmented memory, risk of fleeing. My hands shook. They create this to justify guardianship, Miguel said, and once they have it, they go straight for your house. I closed my eyes. The rosary pressed so hard into my palm that the cross cut my skin. And Marcus? I asked, though I already feared the answer. Miguel hesitated. There was another document, he said quietly. Your son signed authorization to sell your house due to temporary incapacity of the owner. He already took the advance payment. My breath vanished. It wasn't just abandonment, it was betrayal. Betrayal for profit. Before the weight of it crushed me, we heard something. Footsteps, fast, coming closer. Miguel turned off the flashlight and pulled me behind the door. We held still as Patricia walked by, muttering something about a surprise audit and needing to accelerate pending cases. When she left, I finally exhaled. Seconds later, Carmen appeared at the door. I had no idea how she had found us. You need to hide that, she warned. They search rooms. Miguel nodded. There's a laundry cabinet with a false back. We can stash it there for now. Carmen touched my arm. They took everything from me. I didn't let anyone help. Don't make my mistake. I looked at her, at Miguel, at the folder in my hands. Something inside me shifted. My mother's voice echoed in my bones. Now you fight, daughter. We tucked the documents into an envelope. Miguel hid it in his cart. And that night, between papers covered in crimes and the old faith in my hand, I made the decision that would change everything. I wouldn't be swallowed in silence. I would be the voice that brought that place down. I spent the whole day with a strange tightness in my chest. It wasn't just fear. It was the certainty that time was running out. With every step I took down the hallway, I felt watchful eyes following me, as if Patricia already sensed I had uncovered too much. My mother's rosary was hidden inside my jacket sleeve, the only protection I trusted. Miguel came to my room late in the afternoon, nervous. They're on edge, he whispered. The administrator got an important call a little while ago. We have to move before they try to transfer you. The word transfer sent a shiver through me. I already knew what happened to people taken to other wings. Tonight won't work, Miguel continued. But tomorrow, I have an outside shift. I take disposal bags to the municipal drop-off. Outside for a few minutes, I'm unsupervised. He took a long breath. That's my chance to call someone. Who? I asked, gripping the rosary until the beads pressed into my skin. Miguel looked around, then leaned closer. Detective Karen Lawson. She's been investigating elder fraud cases for months. She's tried to get in here several times, but I never had proof to give her. Until now. My heartbeat quickened. Will she believe you? She will once she hears your recording and sees the documents, but I need to get out tomorrow, and you need to survive until I come back. Survive. He wasn't exaggerating. I knew that. After he left, Ellen, the receptionist, appeared quietly at my door. Always silent, always frightened. But tonight, something in her face was different. Resolve. I know you're in danger, she said quickly. They're planning to evaluate you tomorrow morning. The doctor already signed a preliminary report. My body went cold. Ellen's voice trembled. They're going to try to drug you. That's how it starts. I swallowed hard, steadying my breath. Ellen? Why are you telling me this? Her eyes shined with held-back tears. My mom lost everything in a place like this. I was too young to help. I'm not letting it happen again. She slipped a small folded paper into my hand. It has her number, Detective Karen. Call her as soon as you can. When I opened it later, the handwriting nearly made me cry. 509-771-2840. You can trust her. E. It was the first real act of bravery from someone inside who couldn't face the system publicly, but still chose to protect me. Then, as the building settled into its nighttime hush, Miguel came rushing back in. There's something else, he whispered. A new woman in administration, an external auditor. She's only been here 2 days. She doesn't know about the scheme, and they're trying to win her over. A new spark lit inside me. Could she be an ally? If you're brave enough to approach her, Yes. It sounded insane, but the kind of insanity that saves lives. The next day, during breakfast, I saw her. Early 30s, focused eyes, serious posture, watching everything, and clearly disturbed by what she saw. She looked like someone who still had a conscience. On my way back to my room, I let my ID bracelet fall near her feet. She picked it up. When her hand brushed mine, I whispered, "Help me. They're trying to take everything from me." She froze. Her eyes changed, and I saw the first crack of doubt forming. She didn't speak, but her expression told me she would be watching. That morning, I gained my second ally, Ellen, with her quiet courage, and the auditor, whose eyes finally saw the fracture in their perfect facade. I wasn't alone anymore, and for the first time since Marcus left me there, I felt a small chance of making it out alive. The next dawn felt heavier than the others, as if the air itself were watching me. I already knew danger was close enough to breathe down my neck. My mother's rosary was tucked inside my sleeve, the cross touching my wrist like a whisper. "Hold on just a little longer, daughter." Around 4 a.m, I heard footsteps in the hallway, not the soft steps of the night staff. These were firm, deliberate. Someone coming with purpose. Instinct told me to lie down and pretend to sleep. The door opened without warning. Patricia walked in. Her expression was different this time. Not irritated, not arrogant, but calculated. As if she had already decided something about me. "Get up, Mrs. Salazar, now." My heart slammed against my ribs. "Why?" "You're being evaluated. The doctor is waiting." Evaluated. I knew exactly what that meant. My fate could be sealed right there. I tried to stall. "I'm not feeling well. Can it wait until morning?" "No," she snapped. "The evaluation is mandatory." She stepped toward me, and I saw something new in her eyes. Fear. She was afraid of losing control over me. They knew I was seeing too much. Patricia grabbed my arm. "Let's go." I pulled back, my heartbeat ringing in my ears. "I'm not going." She stared at me for a long second. Then she tried to force it. My rosary slipped out of my sleeve and hit the floor. The sound of the beads hitting the tile was louder than it should have been. I knelt instinctively to grab it. Patricia, in one sharp movement, tried to push it away with her foot, like it was trash. And that sight, my mother's rosary being shoved aside like something worthless, woke up something fierce inside me. I moved faster than I thought I could. I grabbed it before her shoe touched it. I stood up with a fire I didn't recognize in myself. "You don't get to touch this," I said, my voice stronger than I expected. Patricia narrowed her eyes. "What are you hiding, huh? Why are you so calm? Why aren't you terrified like you should be?" My silence was a blade. She felt it. And it made her furious. "If you won't come willingly, I'll record that you're having an episode, straight to isolation." My blood froze. I knew what isolation meant. People vanished in there, woke up drugged, signed away everything, or never woke up at all. Before I could answer, footsteps echoed down the hall. 2 staff members approached. Patricia turned toward them. "Bring the restraint chair, she's agitated." My blood drained from my face. Just then, Ellen appeared at the far end of the hallway. Her face was pale, but her eyes had courage. "Patricia," she said loudly, "the administrator needs you in his office, now." "I'm busy," Patricia snapped. "He said it's urgent. The external auditor wants to speak to you." For a split second, Patricia hesitated. She looked at me, at the staff, at Ellen. Then she cursed under her breath and stormed off down the hall. Ellen ran to me. "They'll try again. Hold on until Miguel gets out." I clutched the rosary, still breathless. "Thank you." A tear rolled down her cheek. "Don't let them break you. You're not like the others. I can see it." Then she disappeared as quickly as she came. I sat back on the bed, shaking. My whole body vibrated between terror and defiance. But one thing was suddenly bright and clear. They didn't just want my home. They didn't just want my assets. They wanted my silence, and I would not give it to them. That night, the second confrontation ended, and I survived. But it was obvious. The next attempt would be final. When the night finally cooled the hallways and the nursing home seemed to fall asleep, I knew I couldn't spend another day inside that place. The second confrontation made one thing unmistakably clear. They were ready to silence me. And if I didn't move now, I wouldn't get another chance. My mother's rosary was locked inside my hand, the cross pressed into my fingers like a reminder that courage is sometimes the only path to survival. Miguel slipped into my room at 2:20 a.m., sweating, his face tighter than ever. He closed the door carefully and listened to the hallway before speaking. "They're planning to drug you before my outside shift," he whispered. "I heard Patricia arguing with the doctor. They want to get rid of you today." My stomach flipped. "Then it's now," I murmured. "It's now," he confirmed. "My shift outside starts at 4. I'll have 5 minutes unsupervised. 5 minutes to deliver the recording and the documents to Detective Lawson." "5 minutes can save my life," I said. Miguel swallowed hard. "And a lot of other lives." He pulled an old phone from his pocket. "No SIM card, but it records. We need your statement, your voice, everything we have. They can't dispute this." He set the phone on my blanket. Its dim screen cast a soft glow across the room like a candle. "When I press here, tell it all. From the beginning. Names, dates, the real estate company, the forged signature. Don't hold anything back." I took a deep breath. "Let's start." Miguel hit record. And there, in that suffocating room, with my mother's rosary burning in my palm, I told my story. I told how Patricia tried to force me back to my room, how the doctor was fake, how I found the notebook with asset evaluations, how Carmen and Ruth disappeared into the night, how Marcus signed papers that stripped me of myself, how fear hollowed me out, how strength slowly grew back inside me. When I finished, Miguel's eyes were shining. This can take the whole place down." He hid the phone inside his shoe, under the insole. "They check pockets, carts, bags, but never shoes. This is the safest way." But the plan wasn't complete yet. We still needed time. They would try to pull me into the infirmary before 4, and I needed to stop that from happening. Just then, Carmen appeared in the doorway, more determined than I had ever seen her. "I heard everything," she said. "I'm helping." "Carmen, it's too risky," Miguel warned. She lifted her chin. "I already lost everything. They won't break me again." She explained there was an old breaker panel in the east wing. If she cut the power, 2 alarms would trigger, sending half the staff running toward equipment checks. "You'll get a few minutes of chaos," she said. "It has to be during shift change." The plan fell into place. At 3:10, Carmen would cut the east wing power. At 3:15, Miguel would roll the disposal bags outside to the municipal drop-off. At 3:20, I would stay in my room, resisting any attempt to move me, until Miguel returned with the police. Miguel touched my shoulder. "I'll come back with her, I promise." "Just come back safe," I said. He smiled faintly, though fear lingered in his eyes. Carmen squeezed my hand. "This ends tonight." For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel only fear. I felt purpose. I held my mother's rosary, felt the cool metal of the cross, and knew. Tonight, I wasn't just an old woman. I wasn't just a victim. I wasn't just someone her son discarded. I was a woman fighting for her life. The plan was set. The clock was ticking. And the whole world was about to turn upside down. At 3:10 a.m., just as planned, the lights in the east wing flickered once, twice, 3 times, and then everything went black. For a heartbeat, silence took over. Thick, tense, almost sacred. And then the alarm tore through the building, sharp and violent, like the walls themselves were screaming. I jumped from my bed, my mother's rosary burning inside my hand. It was time. Chaos spread like a wave, footsteps pounding, doors slamming open, voices echoing through the hallway. "Power failure! Check the monitors! East wing is offline. Get the administrator, now!" Everything was unfolding exactly as Carmen promised. At 3:15, Miguel rushed past my door with his cart, not looking at me, on purpose. But his shoulders trembled, and I knew fear and courage were fighting inside him. He was headed out, to the municipal drop-off, to the call that would decide whether I survived or disappeared. And then everything went wrong. Patricia appeared in the hallway. Even with the alarms blaring, even with people running everywhere, she saw only one thing: me. She walked toward my room slowly, like a predator that already knows how the hunt ends. I stepped back inside the room. She quickened her pace. "So," she said as she entered without permission, "you thought you could fool me?" The alarm wailed behind her, but her voice was far more frightening. She closed the door. My throat tightened. "We're finishing this now," she said, pulling a small bottle of pills from her pocket. My heart lurched. They had skipped the pretense. This was silencing. She moved closer. I gripped the rosary until my knuckles ached. "You're not in control here," she whispered. "Your time is up." I stepped back, tripping on the bed frame. She lunged. I tried to scream, but she covered my mouth with her hand. I bit her. Instinct. Desperation. Not strength. Survival. She screamed and jerked back. The pill bottle fell, scattering pills like little traps across the floor. "You old witch!" she spat, raising her hand to strike me. But before she could swing, sirens. Not the alarm, police sirens. Far away at first, then closer, then so close the floor vibrated. Patricia froze. So did I. Voices filled the hallway. "Police! Open the doors! Search warrant, hands against the wall! Nobody leaves this building!" Air rushed back into my lungs like a flood. Patricia sprinted toward the door, but it burst open, slamming her backward as 2 officers stormed inside. "Ma'am, step back," one of them ordered me. I stumbled away, shaking, and then she walked in. Detective Karen Lawson. Tall, steady, sharp-eyed, a woman who had fought monsters before. "Patricia Hargrove?" she said. Patricia started babbling excuses, but Karen raised a hand. "You're under arrest for fraud, institutional abuse, elder trafficking, and suspected involvement in disappearances." My knees nearly buckled. Then Karen turned to me. "You're Alberta Salazar?" I nodded. Tears I didn't feel coming slid down my cheeks. "You're safe now," she said softly. "We heard everything, the whole recording." Recording. Miguel did it. He really did it. Behind her, in the rush of officers and EMTs, I saw him. Miguel. Breathless, shaking, tears streaming. "We made it," he whispered. I grabbed his arm like it was the edge of life itself. "You came back," I said. "I promised." Karen placed a hand on my shoulder. "Your evidence opened the whole case. You're under our protection now." Employees were being handcuffed in the hallway. Gerald, the administrator, was pinned against the wall. The fake doctor was tackled trying to flee out a side door. Elderly residents were wheeled out of locked rooms, some crying, some confused, all finally free. Carmen appeared in the doorway, supported by an officer. When our eyes met, she gave me a tired but beautiful smile. "I knew you'd make it," she said. I held her hand. We did. As EMTs checked, residents and officers poured through every hallway, the detective handed me something small. My rosary. "It fell when we found you," she said. It felt heavier than ever, with meaning, not fear. I pressed it to my chest. For the first time since Marcus left me on that cold chair, I felt alive. The terror was over. The masks were off. And I, a woman they tried to erase, was standing there, breathing, holding my faith and my story in my own hands again. This wasn't escape. It was rebirth. When I finally stepped out of that place, the cold dawn air touched my face like it was welcoming me back to the world. The red and blue lights from the police cars flashed across the building, reflected on the locked windows that had held me prisoner for weeks. They wrapped a blanket around my shoulders, but my real protection came from something else. The rosary in my hand, warm against my palm, as if my mother were guiding me out. Detective Karen Lawson walked me to the ambulance to check my vitals. "You were essential in bringing this whole operation down," she said. There was firmness in her tone, but also a deep, sincere respect. I took a breath, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time: dignity. "I just wanted to live," I answered. "And now you will," she assured. Miguel appeared a moment later. He looked small against the chaos of officers, rescued elders, confiscated documents. But to me, he stood like a mountain. "I thought they might hurt you before the police got there," he said, tears slipping out despite his effort to hide them. I squeezed his hand. "You saved me, you and your grandmother's memory. None of this would have happened without you." He looked down, overwhelmed. "I just didn't want to lose anyone else." Carmen was there too, leaning on an agent's arm. She smiled, a tired smile, but one filled with freedom. "I thought I'd die in there," she said softly. "Now we get to live," I replied. She nodded, and for the first time since I met her, her eyes carried hope instead of fear. Hours later, at the police station, they returned my documents, my name, my identity, my autonomy, everything they tried to steal. And then Marcus arrived. He walked in looking hollow, like he had finally realized the weight of what he had done. "Mom, I didn't know." "You knew enough," I cut him off, without raising my voice. He started crying. He tried to touch my arm. I stepped back. "It's not anger, Marcus. It's respect. And that doesn't exist between us anymore." He broke down right there, but I was long past my breaking point. Now, I was rebuilding. When I left the station, Miguel walked me to the social services car. "They prepared a temporary apartment for you. Safe, quiet." I touched the rosary, feeling its familiar texture. For the first time in a long time, where I'm going matters less than the fact that I'm going by my own choice. And just like that, for the first time since the abandonment, my story was back in my hands. 3 months later, I woke up in my new apartment, small, quiet, with a window that lets the morning sun in just right. It's not the house where I lived my entire life, but it's my home now, my beginning, my space to breathe without asking permission. On the small table beside my bed, my mother's rosary lies open, as if whispering, "You came back to yourself." Miguel stops by almost every day, bringing fresh bread from the bakery or just sitting with me to talk about the future. He's become family, the kind you choose, the kind that doesn't run away when life gets heavy. Sometimes when he laughs, I'm reminded that the world still holds kindness, even after everything I've been through. Carmen calls me every week. She's living with a niece now and learning to walk outside again without fear. The other day she said, "We're not too old to start over, Alberta." And for the first time, I believed it. Really believed it. Marcus tried to reconnect. Sent letters, messages, asked for a chance to talk. I read everything. I didn't answer. Forgiveness isn't a path back. It's a release. I released him from the weight of guilt. But I didn't let him back in. And when I look at the rosary, now cleaned, restored, without the cracks it got inside that nursing home, I understand something deep. I didn't survive by luck. I survived because women like my mother, like me, like Carmen, carry a quiet strength no one can erase. If you're listening to my story now, I want to tell you this. You matter. Your identity matters. Your voice matters. And to keep receiving stories of strength, justice, and new beginnings like mine, subscribe to the channel, hit like, share this video with someone who needs to feel seen today, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I want to feel your presence here with me.